Okay, right then, well, let me introduce myself. My name's John Macdonald. I'm the director of Proscot, multiple Scottish champion racer, and also one of Britain's highest qualified rider trainers. I'm going to build a little bit on Jimmy Wright's previous video, where he talked about his 5 tips for getting back on your motorcycles. I'm aware also that you've not been on your bikes for a while, so I'm going to give you my 5 riding tips. I'm going to focus specifically on areas which are generally high risk accident areas. So I'm going to be talking more about junctions, crossroads, roundabouts, overtaking, filtering, and road surfaces. So let's talk about them one at a time then. Let's first of all look at junctions. When you're approaching junctions, you need to approach them with caution, being fully observant and fully aware of the potential dangers that may exist. Don't assume priority. And always expect that driver perhaps to have not seen you. Look out for those telltale signs that that driver might be about to pull out in front of you. For example, the driver not looking at you, the car starting to creep when it really should be stopping and should be giving way to you. Now, everything that I've said there for junctions also applies to roundabouts. Again, watch out for drivers approaching roundabouts who are not observing properly, who might not give way to you when they should give way to you. Assume a worst case scenario then when it comes to junctions and crossroads and roundabouts. Always assume that the driver's either not seen you, not aware of you, and may well pull out in front of you. At roundabouts, there's additional dangers that you should look out for. Watch out for people giving wrong, misleading, or confusing signals. Watch out for people being in the wrong lane or straddling lanes. This is particularly true on large vehicles. So roundabouts, again, another area where you can end up getting yourself in a bit of difficulty if you don't assume the worst case scenario. So always look out for what I call the what if. What's the worst case scenario here, and am I prepared for it? Okay, so there's a little bit then for you on junctions, crossroads, and roundabouts. These are particular accident black spot areas. Now, next thing I want to talk about is talk a little bit about overtaking. First of all, make sure your overtake's justified. Is it justified, and is it going to be legal, and is it going to be safe? Once you've justified your overtake, there's a number of things that you need to consider. First of all, what's happening in front of you and what's happening behind you. Observe fully. Make sure that if you're going to overtake a lead vehicle, that you're able to return back safely to your side of the road, ideally within 1/3 of the overall distance you can see to be clear. Why is this important? Well, you need time to move out, move past, and get back in. Another vehicle could be coming the other way, and you need that safety buffer in the middle. So make sure it can be done safely. Look out particularly for near side and offside hazards. There could be hidden dangers. So be 100% sure it's safe before you commit to that overtake. And like we say, make sure it's done safely and it's done legally. Let's talk about filtering now. First of all, again, make sure that there's going to be a benefit by filtering. Filtering is not illegal, and as long as you do it safely and with consideration, filtering can be something that for a motorcyclist can save us a lot of time, particularly if we're in long queues, for example. So here's my hints and tips for filtering. First of all, justify it. Make sure there's going to be some gain. You're no point filtering just to get 3 or 4 cars. That's not going to gain you much. You'd be as well sitting where you are. But once you've justified filtering, always look to filter on the right-hand side or the off-side. There's a good reason for this. Vehicles tend to expect you coming up on the right-hand side, the off-side, not so much on the near side. So be aware, filtering on the near side, people might not expect you to be there. If you are going to filter, make sure you've got a safe space to return back to. Don't move out, start filtering, and without knowing you've got a safe space to go back to. And watch out for oncoming traffic. If there's oncoming traffic, stay where you are. Don't end up being the filling in a nasty sandwich. Look out for breaks in the traffic or gaps. There's breaks and gaps, there could be hidden junctions, entrance, exit points, and that's where vehicles could pull out. Also when filtering, look to filter no more than about 10 miles per hour. You're still covering the ground at 10 miles per hour past the stationary vehicles. I see people filtering at high speed. No, don't. If you're doing 10 miles per hour past them, that's fast enough. Also, when vehicles are stationary, it's easier to filter past. But once that traffic starts to move, even if it's moving slowly, there's a chance they could turn or change lane. So beware. If you're filtering, it's always better to filter past stationary traffic. And if the traffic is moving at all, beware. As I say, they could change lane or turn. So there's my tips on filtering. Finally, road surfaces. We know that the motorcycle makes a very small contact patch with the road, a contact patch no larger really than the width of the palm of your hand. So for that reason, we need to have good surfaces and good integrity, particularly when we're braking, accelerating, or when we're leaning. Now, I use a little hint and tip for me where I basically look for changes in road colour. If I look ahead and I see changes on the colour of the road surface, I know that means there's a change in grip level. It could be better, it could be worse. If the colour that I'm on just now remains consistent up ahead, I know that the grip levels are consistent with what I'm experiencing at the moment. But when I see changes in colour, I know that means a change in the surface. It could be a manhole cover, it could be loose grip gravel, it could be just a wet surface, but there's some additional danger. Reduce your speed, make a full assessment before committing. In other words, never put your tyres where your eyes have not been. Make a full assessment first. Now, like I said, you're particularly at danger when you're braking, accelerating, or leaning. So look for those road surface colour changes, particularly at those points. If you're travelling upright and straight, it's not so much of a problem. But I'm always wary when I'm going to be braking. What's the colour like? Is there a change in colour? If I'm going to be leaning or if I'm going to be accelerating. So there you go. Some of my hints and tips from John Macdonald, Director of Proscot. Please feel free to check out my own YouTube channel that I've got as well, where I've got some additional hints and tips as well to help you return back to biking after your lockdown. But the big thing is stay safe, have fun and stay safe. Thank you for listening to my hints and tips.